coffee is overflowing. It looks as though our orientation is fixed over last week, which is really, really good. I apologize. What I thought was happening last week and what was actually happening last week are two very, very different things. So at the beginning of the stream last week, we went to buy like a canned coffee from the vending machine. And at the time, I couldn't hold on to the camera because it was too slick, and it started spinning around, and it like basically confused like the program's like orientation sensing ability, I guess. And so it kept giving me this message that was like, you've got to fix the orientation. But to me, when I looked on the screen, the orientation looked fine. Good morning, whoever just joined the stream. I can't see your name pop up yet. But I was sort of in a rush. I didn't really bother to read anything that was written on the screen. And basically it was that I needed to shut off the rotation lock on the camera so that it could flip the orientation. And anyway, when I looked back at the recorded stream from last week and saw that it was all sorts of messed up, I was more than a little bit embarrassed, so I apologize. So anyway, good morning. We are here with our Cuppa. We were walking around. We can actually see the ground today, which is good, so we can actually pick up some trash. We are expecting some heavy rain later, so hopefully that holds off until we get this done. So we're walking here in the western part of Sabah City. Sort of the direction we're going is I need to go look at an open office building and see if it's a space I like, because we're going to be putting a business inside of it here in a couple months. Well, potentially. So we're going to head generally in that direction, and hopefully at the same time pick up some trash. We can visit a local shrine, and then I suppose that's where we'll end it. So anyway, it's December 23rd here today, as it is everywhere else that is today, unless you're a different time zone and all that. And so it's also like after we do all this stuff, we got to get ready for Christmas. I have pretty much everything ready, but like this year, because I'm not going home, I basically said to my local family, let's do like I really would like to introduce you to a little bit of like American Christmas culture and that kind of thing. Let's try something for a second. I wonder if I can, please don't fall over, coffee. Oh, it's gonna fall over. I wonder if I can keep the chat screen open all the time. Okay, so it looks like the chat should always be shown, guys. So guys, if you're here, please give me a shout out. It doesn't show me like so-and-so has joined the channel, has joined the stream or whatever when you up, that kind of thing. So I just saw I don't know how to describe our relationship, but my family member. And anyway, so as I was saying, oh yeah, so we're getting ready for Christmas, and I said to my family, I said I'd really like to just introduce you even just a little bit to like some American Christmas culture. And the immediate response I got was like, well, we don't really want to gain like 5 kilograms in a day kind of thing, right? Which I suppose is a fair enough criticism. But anyway, we ordered a turkey, which just came in the mail, which is really, this cup is very hot. It's a really weird experience to order an animal in the mail. Particularly, I suppose I've ordered fish before in the mail, like when I was really into like fish keeping, and those came in the mail, and that was I don't know, I guess I didn't have the same feeling then. Maybe it's because I was younger and I was like, whatever, other things' lives, who cares? But receiving a frozen turkey in a box from a truck, which I suppose is how that all comes to the supermarket anyway, but is just kind of, it's a really strange experience, I think. But anyhow, So we're doing that. And I suppose what I can ask you guys who are watching this stream is what are some activities that you guys do um, to celebrate Christmas or to celebrate any of the holidays that fall around this time of year, I suppose, Hanukkah and things like that. Because I really want to introduce some different things, but also it's kind of one of those situations where if I weren't thinking about it, I would remember all of the things that I do with my family around Christmas time. But now that I'm sort of like, purposely trying to think about it and remember things, I just can't remember like what activities we do. But I think that may also be virtue of the fact that my family does not really do anything except drink and eat too much and eventually argue, that all song and dance. So some hot coffee. All right, so we're getting past an area now where I can sort of just stop showing you my face. I don't really want to live stream the local elementary school. Some talkative dogs over here. Where we're going today, where we're sort of headed, so keep an eye out for trash, is near the local train station. So not too far. All right, we can start showing you guys some things that aren't me. This is just somebody's house, but it looks rather old, and the size of it is just rather staggering. It looks more to be something of a compound than just a normal house. Just want to use the word compound, I suppose. But getting ready for Christmas, as I was talking about before, has been kind of an interesting thing. I suppose it's always an interesting thing, but to be honest, usually, last year I wasn't here. I was in the States for Christmas, so I didn't have to worry about anything except getting presents ready and that kind of thing. But this year, just me and my partner, and of course our family we're not doing it on the family thing on Christmas. It's just gonna be the two of us on Christmas. But and in years past, with my partner, usually we go to like Universal, or we go to Kyoto, or we haven't spent Christmas in Disney yet, although believe me that bird's been in my ear. And the road here. Let's see, so there's one open space here. As I was saying, usually we visit like the Kansai area for Christmas, but since Kansai, like many other places, you can see there it says they're looking for a tenant. Up in the top window there, this space is old and it's dirty, and even so, they'll charge you over $1,000 a month to put something in there, which is the story of my life recently, basically. But of course this year, because sort of every single place in Japan every major place in Japan, as in many other countries, is sort of completely overrun. We're just going to be staying home, and sort of that's left me with mostly it's an opportunity, right? The opportunity to cook some things and sort of really to enjoy the things that I normally enjoy when I go home. But it's also like, it's a bit of a sourcing nightmare. So first of all, the turkey, right? Like, we got a pretty big turkey. I think it's 4 kilograms. And I think that's about let's see. It's like 2.3 kilograms per pound, right? Is that right? God, I'm so dumb today. Well, I'm dumb every day, let's be honest. But anyway, I think it's like a 10-pound bird, a little bit under. Hey, Kirk, nice to see you. Please don't get in trouble at work on my account, man. Are you in between classes and stuff like that right now? So yes, we got the bird, and last week was was my 6th-year anniversary. We talked about this on the last stream of living in Japan, and still, for whatever reason, right, it has ceased to have any sort of meaning, but I'm still comparing everything to like US prices. I suppose it's just because it's just like gives me something to grumble about, but in the States, you know, I can buy like a 25-pound turkey for like $30 or something like that, or at least so was the case the last time I bought a turkey in the States. But yeah, for like a 10-pound bird here, it was 6,000円ぐらいかな、なんか about 60-ish bucks, a little under $60. And that was a kick in the huevos. And so, yeah, and then like, have you guys ever heard of this thing called grasshopper pie? No grasshoppers are harmed in the making of said pie, but there's no trash on the ground today, and it really, I'm happy, of course, that there's no trash to pick up, but also, like, literally, when I'm just walking normally and I'm not trying to make a stream of it, there's always trash, and I'm like, okay, well, that's something we can do, right? And now that we're doing it, there's no trash, which is just the way of the world. But anyhow, this thing called grasshopper pie, it's like a chocolate pie shell, and then inside of it there's vanilla ice cream, or, well, depending on how you want to do it, but you could do vanilla ice cream mixed with a heavy amount of creme de menthe, right, the mint liqueur, and then that turns green and minty and delicious, and then you have yourself like a mint chocolate chip pie, which is something we do for Christmas every year. But sourcing that creme de menthe too has been like a nightmare. Like 100 milliliter bottle was 600 yen, right? So it's just all that, and it's like, it's coming to the realization as I watch my like bank account dwindle, just so I can make Christmas as much like I'm used to as possible. Like, do I really need to make it exactly the same? You know, like, surely some kind of approximation, some kind of facsimile would be enough, right? But it's just not my personality at all, for better or for worse. So anyway, that's what's going on today and tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to the bank to deal with all this like financing for new things. So anyway, but I do want to talk about a couple of things today, not just small talk. But before we do that, I do want to say, excuse me, there's a car coming here. That's it. But before we do that, I do want to say, please check out my Christmas video that I put up on the channel yesterday. It's called What the Hell is Black Santa? And it talks about, well, exactly that. Recently, I've been hearing a lot about this guy called Black Santa, and anyway, it's kind of an interesting story, international story to that, so please check it out. For whatever reason, the normal, the things that aren't one cup on the channel don't tend to do very well, so anyway, please check it out. But yeah. All right, so we're gonna keep going here. But yeah, let's see, we've got 2 people in right now, it looks like. Guys, what are you doing with your morning or your evening or whatever time it is where you are? Of course, there's a time delay, isn't there? But all right, so as we wait for anybody to say something, one of the things that's been interesting about planning a new venture, right, which is really where probably all of my free time until the beginning of March or April is going to go, is sort of realizing your own, oh, this is really pretty, look. Some kind of berry, I don't know what it is. Is realizing my own naivety, right? My naivete. And I think, just past this woman over here. When I decided that I was going to start my own thing, I pretty much immediately at that point I started reading, and I have now read a bunch of texts about just generally running a business, right? Right, about what things I have to do to get started, about how much money I should expect to need as far as initial financing, and a bunch of all that kind of stuff, tax code, a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm really, really glad I did so, because of course there's a lot that I never had to think about as just an employee of a place, right? And it's fine, and it can't be helped, right? Because all of this is going to be my deal. This local shrine under construction. We've been here before in a recent one Cuppa, I suppose. But anyway, let's continue on. And reading about all this, and after doing so, and I suppose even before doing so, but particularly after, I was like, okay, well, I have all this information, so the only thing to do now is to find a location and then make up all like the paperwork that I'm going to use within my business, right? Like the things I'm going to use for example, contracts and well, a whole bunch of things like that, contracts and like letterhead and like procedural guidebooks and all that stuff that I'll write for myself basically to use. But just designing all that kind of stuff, right? And I thought, okay, well, if I get all that done, then that's it. It's like, okay, I can start a business and I can get off the ground running, probably within like a week or two, that kind of thing. So I thought that was my friend, but was just some unknown young lady. And I stared at the window expecting like a wave, and then realized it wasn't her and had to cower. And of course, it's naive to really think that way about a business. And I think where it really started to come home for me was like, maybe because of the season, maybe because of the economic situation, that kind of thing, particularly finding a location is really quite difficult. And not finding a location so much, but finding something that is actually affordable and doable. Because I've been working with, I suppose, who will be my business partner. And what we decided together is that things like rent, for example, should not take up more than 10% of sales. And all of the places we've been looking for the first couple of months are likely to actually eat up about 25% of revenue, right? And that's in the best case situation, right? Like, I can't discuss the details, but we're almost guaranteed to be profitable within the first 2 or 3 months because of the particular unique situation, which I can talk about probably in at the end of February. But even so, right, it's like, how profitable do we want to be? Because even if it's just me and one other person working the company, like if rent takes up 25% of the revenue, then it's like, okay, well, how much salary can we expect to make? And can I support a family? Can I pay my employee, basically? All right, so here's the place. We're gonna have to come back here later because this looks like this is in good shape. Really open and nice too. And so we have, up in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I have visited about 10 different buildings on room tours, facility tours, building tours, I don't know what you want to call it. And I found some places that I like, but it's just like, thinking realistically about it, not wanting to beggar yourself and put your company and therefore your livelihood and your future into a shitty situation before you even got off the ground, right? So anyhow, that's been the thing. And it's like very quickly was made to realize how, hello there, whoever just joined the stream, very quickly made to realize how how much in this situation the reality does not follow suit with your plans. So yeah, so probably more realistic time frame for getting something like this up and running. Hello Peter, nice to see you. The more realistic time frame for getting this business going and, you know, doing everything that I need to do is not 2 weeks, right? It's not 3 weeks, it's not even a month. Probably it's 2 to 3 months kind of thing, right? So it's wrestling with the reality of that. And just trying to come to terms with it and kind of doing what we can. So anyway, that's sort of been like what's happening, but it's also, I would be lying if I said that the idea of sort of starting my own business and having everything be on my shoulders is not scary, because it is, right? Like all of the financing in one way or another is going to be on my shoulders. The reputation, building the reputation, basically everything to do with the business will be on me, which is, of course, that's just how it works when you run a business, right? That's fine. And I'd be lying if I said there haven't been times when I've been trying to go to sleep at night where I just start playing out these worst case scenarios in my brain as I'm trying to shut off and go to sleep, right? That's been kind of a common occurrence recently. And it can't be helped, but mostly what I feel is excitement, because probably especially over the last 3 years, I suppose, I have felt like this. Hello, whoever just joined. I felt this this fatigue, I suppose, over basically exercising over these exercises in what I find to be kind of insanity, right? Because it's like I have to operate within the framework of the company in which I work, right? In the way in which I was trained and all of that kind of thing. And what you come to find out is like, right, so how can I give an example? Andrew, how's it going? Nice to see you as always. What can I say? So for example, within the company that I was working, right? Well, I still work there, but the situation was that there's no Japanese allowed with students. And to an extent, it's understandable. And my mindset on this has evolved a lot over the last couple of years as I've gained experience. And there's something to be said, right? Especially maybe with small children who will possibly default to what is easiest for them. If they know that you speak Japanese, they will speak Japanese instead of trying to use English. You can understand that. But the trouble comes when you are starting to, when they're even just first or second grade or third grade of elementary school, and you are expected to be teaching these kids grammar and why things operate the way they work and all this kind of thing. And those are the things that the parents want to know and want their kids to learn, because the education system here, particularly in regards to English, is not one that teaches proficiency. It's one that teaches test proficiency, right? So more than anything, people here are learning to take a test, right? That's the same if it's the ACAN, it's the same if it's their school English test, all that kind of thing. So that's why people will spend years and years studying English, and maybe they can sit down, they can read even somewhat complex documents, but when it comes time to speak, they just can't do it, right? And so what ends up happening when these kids come to an Eikaiwa, at least when they're small, parents have this dream for their kids that they want them to grow up to speak English, which is admirable, and it's important, I think, on the global stage. But then what happens when these kids become a little bit older? Parents start thinking about like their test grades and their school, their ranking of scores within their school and all that kind of thing. And if they can pass the ACAN, because that looks good on things like high school applications, college applications, right? And so what you have is this disparity between their original goal, which was they wanted their kids to speak English, and then they want us to be teachers who are teaching these kids to pass their tests, right? And the goal of an English conversation teacher, someone who's actually trying to teach a kid to speak English versus someone who's teaching a kid to pass an English test, they're diametrically opposed, right? Truly. And so that's something to grapple with. But anyway, getting back to the main point, to limit foreign teachers from speaking Japanese means that you cannot teach the particulars. In my experience, you can, for example, right? Let's see, like the verb to be, right? Like you can teach conjugation, right? Like the boy, right? I am, you are, he is, she is, and all that kind of thing. You can teach that through rote and repetition, but there are certain things that it's either far easier or it's seemingly only possible by using a little bit of Japanese. At least in a situation where you have 50 minutes to teach a kid something and you're expected to keep it in their head and you're expected to get them to be able to use it within 50 minutes. And then the next week you're supposed to move on to a different subject. And it's like, how do you possibly explain grammar to a kid, get them to use the grammar and get it to stick in their head in 50 minutes while you're just trying to make them understand through body gesture and all that kind of thing, right? Like you waste like 10 or 15 minutes just trying to explain a very simple point when you could be like in Japanese, oh hey, these are the rules. Got it? And then later if they forget, explain it again. And that takes a minute. And suddenly you have all this extra time that you can spend on teaching, on really teaching things, right? So that's just one example of like things that I really feel excited to be free of, right? And of course with that comes challenges. Like I have to figure out the balance, like how much, right? Like of course I need to speak in majority English when it comes to doing my own thing. And I have to be careful because it's very, very easy once you start speaking Japanese just to kind of just keep speaking it, you know? And you have to be mindful of that and everything. But it's just generally speaking to be free of those rules and to be able to implement the things that you have learned are more effective. You know, it's just really something to look forward to. And then it's just, you know, not having to work with people that maybe you don't like all that much. At least as far as your colleagues go, right? Like there's always going to be people who come into the business or difficult parents or whatever the case may be that it's not so fun, right? But that's nothing to be done about that. That's just the nature of, right? Having a business and having customers and stuff like that, I suppose. But anyway, so mostly it's exciting, but let's turn it up to you guys. We're almost at half an hour here, and probably we aren't going to go too much longer just because there's so much to do today. I wish I could pull up the actual... Not really thrilled with YouTube's live streaming ability here through the YouTube app, because your comments come up like... And I know today maybe we just had like hello and I'm doing this and that kind of comments, but it'd be nice if I could pull up the chat log so I could take a look and properly say hello to people who've said something to me. But anyway, I want to turn out to you guys. It is December 23rd, 22nd for those of you who I know are still in the States, but not still in the States, who live in the States. But how go the holiday preparations? How go your final university exams for the semester and all that kind of stuff? How's everything going? It is chilly. They called for rain this morning, but maybe look at how blue this sky is. Actually, I got like a notice on my phone. What? What, Andrew? Are you serious? No, man, come on. Yeah. Shit. All right, so I mean, share as much as you're comfortable with sharing. Sorry, guys, we're gonna retread the road around here, but I don't want to go that far that way. But I mean, Andrew, what does that mean? Are you symptomatic? Are you asymptomatic? Like, are you doing okay? Jesus, man. Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's nothing too rare anymore, right? Like how many people have connections to people who have gotten the virus, but like, especially recently, I feel like it's just so easy to like to throw a rock and you hit somebody you know who has gotten sick. So I just had a colleague of mine whose brother is living in the States got it, and it's just like, Jesus, man. And then you know, you can't help but feel lucky. Symptomatic, but much better than the last few days. Okay. Yeah, Jesus, man. I'm sorry to hear that you got sick, and yeah, it's such a shock because you and I have been in contact for a while now, you know, at least you know, on occasion, and I hope just do what you got to do, you know, rest up, eat your vegetables, all that kind of jazz, and yeah, that's all I can say, man. Yikes. All right. Hi gozaimasu. Fever and muscle pain. So did you have to spend any time in the hospital, or did you go in and they diagnosed you and then they said, okay, just stay at home for 2 weeks while you heal up, basically? Man. Kind of while we're talking here, to the other people who are watching, I'm curious to know, like, I don't know if you're in the States or you're elsewhere, but what kind of timetable do you guys have for getting hold of the vaccine? My mother, I asked because my mother just got her dose late last week. She's a emergency room nurse practitioner, and so they put her on the priority list kind of thing. I got you, Andrew. Okay. I mean, I guess we don't need to discuss the details of your living situation when we're on a live stream, but I hope whether you're in like a shared living thing with like roommates at university, or you're with your family or whatever, that you know, that they stay safe and healthy. But man, what a scary thing, you know. Early spring is like the mass release kind of thing. I don't know, I keep hearing things going back and forth here, like for Japan, like I've heard that it's gonna be at the beginning they were saying maybe Japan wouldn't get it until 2022, and then I guess there's some kind of deal happening where the US is kind of gonna work with Pfizer and to get Japan sort of higher up on the disbursement list, so Japanese residents will all be able to take the vaccine. I'm curious to know, like in the States, for example, is the government going to eat the cost of vaccination? I hope so. It would make sense too, right? But it also seems very un-US. It seems very un-US. I feel like they're going to be like, okay, well, we'll give it to you, and maybe we'll even cut the price, but it's still going to like you're gonna have to choose between feeding your kids and getting vaccinated. That seems more in line with the States to me, but all right, we're back here at this shrine under construction now. We're just about gonna it's gonna about finish up here, guys. But probably, I'm trying to make it work out, but as far as timing goes, probably there won't be a normal 1 cuppa this week. Just because I'm sorry, there's just not time, but there will be the 1 cuppa clips and the podcast version up on Patreon, and then we should have our last 1 cuppa of the year up next week, unless something miraculous happens today where suddenly I find the time. So, but yeah, guys, thanks as always for watching. Andrew, Andrew, please just take care of yourself and get healthy, and you know, I hope you and yours stay healthy. Roz, what's up, man? Oh, it's nice to see you in the live too. I'm sorry that we're just about ready to finish up here. But yeah, guys, please, for those of you watching, most of those watching right now are already patrons. Thank you very, very much for that. But as I said, please check out the new Christmas video that's on the channel. I think it's interesting. If you haven't already, please check out my Patreon. There's now a $1 level on there, which I think is pretty worthwhile, I suppose. But I thank you guys very, very much for watching. Happy holidays, whatever holiday you are celebrating. I hope it's a good one with you and yours. And thank you for this year. I will see you guys in the last cuppa of the year and the last live stream of the year next week. Thanks, guys. Cheers. How do I shut you off? X button. X button.